Welcome, I'm Barry Kibrick, and today we're going to try to put an end to crony capitalism and governmental corruption. In part one of my conversation with F.H. Buckley, the distinguished law professor, we discussed why distrust in our government is so prevalent.
People ask me, you're talking about corruption in America. I don't get it. I mean, I don't see it. And I say, there's this place called Illinois. Have you ever heard of it? 4 ex-governors in prison.
Another day, another corruption scandal.
We're a state run by a group of pirates.
Dan Walker, terrible fall from grace.
Town president charged in a mob-connected insurance scheme.
Corruption. It's our brand.
Governor Blagojevich tried to sell the Senate seat vacated by President-elect Obama.
Illinois is almost a failed state.
People have died because of corruption.
Governor Ryan goes to prison.
18 felony counts.
We have institutionalized corruption.
Lincoln is Crying, The Grifters, Grafters, and Governors of Illinois is made possible by Dave Truitt.
My name is James Todd Lincoln, and while our DNA is not a match, I just know I'm the great-great-great-grandson of President Abraham Lincoln, and that's a big responsibility. You won't find me in the history books, but you can find me online. Now, being a Lincoln gives me a certain amount of gravitas, but it's my academic credentials that give me the credibility to tell this story of corruption. I feel a duty to call attention to how thoroughly broken Illinois' political system is and has been since the last time great-granddad went to the theater. I think you should also know I'm a micro-influencer, activist, and philanthropist. Aside from the obvious resemblance, I don't have a lot in common with Honest Abe. I'm not much of a rail splitter, and I don't have a head for the law, but I do share his principles. Great-granddad once said, "Stand with anybody that stands right, stand with him while he is right, and part with him when he goes wrong." I know Abe would be disgusted by just how many Illinois politicians and other public servants have gone wrong. And I feel obligated to help save Illinois by calling out the voters' terrible tendency to elect and re-elect the worst possible people.
I don't blame crooked politicians anymore. I blame the voters. I mean, they keep re-electing these clowns.
That's true. And here's something else. Political corruption in Illinois is inclusive.
It has nothing to do with gender or race or class.
We have institutionalized corruption.
It's in our DNA.
In fact, there are so many corrupt politicians, the state is teetering on the brink of both moral and financial collapse.
Illinois is the worst governed state, not just in the country. I would argue it's the worst governed state in the history of the country. And that's really it by the numbers.
Illinois is now $142 billion in long-term debt. That's almost the worst of any state in the nation by $80 billion.
Illinois is ranked dead last in fiscal health. It has the lowest credit rating of any state. Its bonds are almost at junk level, and it has some of the highest property taxes and one of the worst pension crises in America.
Taxpayers should be furious with their leaders.
People are leaving the state as fast as they can.
All right, we are just getting some images coming into us regarding Illinois, people running away from high taxes.
Isn't it time for the citizens of the Prairie State to get more involved, to actually show up to vote, and to hold their leaders accountable? Because we Lincolns believe Illinois is worth saving, and here's why. By the way, the S is silent. Illinois is one of 50 U.S. states, and it's located in the Midwest. It's bordered by Indiana in the east, the Mississippi River in the west, and Lake Michigan is on its northeast corner. And that's where Chicago is. It's the third largest city in the country, but Chicago's not the state capital. That's Springfield, downstate, where Granddad lived.
Point of interest, the state bird of Illinois is the northern cardinal.
Thank you, Tim. Illinois has about 12.8 million people, and it's the 5th largest economy in the U.S. On the surface, this 200-year-old state looks functional. Rich farmland, over 30 Fortune 500 companies, major sports teams, and great food. Much of it meat-based, but still great.
Where was the Twinkie invented? Chicago.
Yes. A lot of internationally famous characters have come out of Illinois or Chicago. And let's not forget Honest Abe. He was an Illinois congressman, then our 16th president. He was a Republican who ended slavery, and he set a standard for Illinois politicians that sadly few have lived up to. And that's the problem.